Well, boys, welcome to another episode of the State of the Bulldogs with Mike and Grant and myself. We did not repeat as SoCon champions. Bulldogs dropped the first game against Furman, as we were all afraid might happen. But fortunately, the universe prevailed and Furman did not come out on top. Mike, Grant, SoCon tournament is over. Basketball season is over. Are we happy that we don't have to watch this team again, or are we sad?
We're sad, Sam. We are. It doesn't matter what quality.
We're sad.
It's not like we're Citadel where we went 0 for 22 to finish the year, right?
That's true. That's true. R.I.P.
Which, if this was 5-6 years ago, Samford probably would have done that at this SoCon compared to what we had before Bucky got here before COVID. But yeah, still. Like the one game we did want to lose.
Watching Ryland Jones, we'll say that.
There you go.
Yep. That's the most sad part of the weekend was Ryland's last game. And it just sucks to have lost to the one team that we all hate losing to the most. I mean, no one likes losing, but losing to Furman, the Purple People Eaters is not how you want to go out. But can't beat UNCG in that final game to avoid the matchup, and it's kind of what we deserved. But I don't think anything surprised us in that game. I think Furman played like they usually do against us, which is lights out. I think we all remember the game 2 years ago. We all tried to go to end the season, and Furman trounced us in our house, and it was terrible. With that said, I thought the team gave us one rallying effort as they usually. I couldn't help but laugh because they just did what we talked about last week, on and off the entire game. But did y'all have any final conclusions? I feel like this game just reinforced everything we thought about the team. But the floor is yours. Mike, we'll start with you because Grant, you were there, so we'll save you. Mike, final thoughts on the season and the game.
Yeah, Saturday night was not fun. I think Furman had our number from the get-go, and we managed to keep it close to end the half. I think it was like a 2-point game maybe at halftime, but we were down big early like usual. Felt like we got down earlier than usual and then kind of made our comeback earlier in the game than usual. Almost kind of like the first half was kind of how a full game goes for us, and then the second half was just a blur. It's unfortunate because I really was hoping that we would just get a fair matchup where we can prove that we're able to beat Furman. And I'm not saying it wasn't a fair matchup, but like when a team shoots 60% from three, it's just like you can't do anything about it. We tried everything we could to stop them. They had multiple guys shooting lights out. I think Grant said they missed 6 shots in the whole second half. And it's like, well, of course, the game that matters most, we get that Furman team, and it's no hope. So it was very frustrating.
Tom House, who was 7 for 27 coming into the game, 6 for 7. 6 for 7 from 3. I mean, just incredible shooting on their part, incredible luck. And just sometimes that's how it happens. Grant, tell us
it's about... It's not low. I just want to... We're not still losers. It's not luck.
Oh, wow.
They're good shooters. Luck. They got hot at the right time.
They're not good. They're objectively not good shooters, though, Mike. They're like... The season has proven they are not good shooters. They're streaky. They're inconsistent.
I mean, they had the second highest 3-point percentage in the league behind UNCG.
Wonderful, but what? Yeah, wonderful. Like in an offensive down year for the league. I mean, that's no. I'm not. I'm sell that Furman is good at shooting. They're good at shooting against Samford. I would love to see what their overall ranking is when you take out the games against us.
On Saturday against Chattanooga, Furman went 12 of 28 from 3 after beating us, and then against Wofford, they went good Lord, they made everything this weekend. 13 to 33 against Wofford. Wofford made 14 threes, but
it was their weekend, which is how they rode it all the way to the finals.
Yeah, hot at the right time, like you said. They shot 17 and 29 from 3. They only missed 6 to 7 shots the whole second half against us,
which is wild.
Yeah, they make 17 threes. Anderson, House, and PJ combined for 16 of the 17 made threes. Like, look, it's only 3 guys. Anderson couldn't miss. But yeah, every time Samford would get down there, scratch and claw and find their way back to a 2 or 4 point game. Then Furman would respond with like a couple threes in their own. I went back through the second half and counted 8 different times Furman responded to a Samford score with a 3 of their own. Literally, as like any Samford 2 or 3, they would go down on 8 different possessions. Literally, the next possession or the second one after that, they went down and made a 3. And literally every time Samford would get close to the first half, in the second half, 2-point game, 4-point game, then there's an 8-0 run or whatever to go. Take the lead. Samford would fight back, and Furman would do the same thing. So, yeah, like Mike said, there's not a ton you can do about it when the defense wasn't bad by any means. Like, they just hit a lot of good shots. Of course, there's some wide open ones in there against the press and whatnot, but still, 17 and 29 from 3, you're not going to win any games when your opponent does that.
Yeah. Mike, I pulled up the 3-point stats. Samford, Chat, and Furman are all at 36%. Would you consider? I do not think our team was good at shooting this year. I think that was our weakness. But then again, I don't really think anybody was that great at shooting this season in the SoCon.
Yeah, I mean, upper 30s is what you expect from a decent shooting team. 58 is next level. 58 is the kind of shooting that you need to be a 15 or 16 seed upsetting a 1 or 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. You know, it's like.
Yes.
But that just goes to show that in mid-major basketball, regular season only matters so much because it's who gets hot at the right time.
Yeah. That's always the tough pill we have to swallow. We won 22 games. Like, that's a fantastic season. Fantastic season. And it all just comes crashing down in one fell swoop against the most hated team. Anyway, Grant, you were there. How was the atmosphere?
A lot of Furman people, actually. Wofford people at the first Wofford ETSU, the game before ours was pretty fun. Both teams are going back and forth, and
I bet that was a chippy crowd.
Yeah, super big crowd. The the Wofford student section was kind of up at the top, basically all the white kids screaming up there, trying to get noise. But it was a good atmosphere. Furman brought a lot of people. The press row seats were kind of over by the Furman band, and there's some Furman students and whatnot there. They were yelling and screaming and literally chanting "overrated" at Bucky, chanting "Bucky ball" at Bucky, chanting when he was on the floor, screaming he's on the floor. But yeah, there's a lot of that going on. It helps when your team makes every single 3 in the book. But yeah, it was a good atmosphere.
You know what doesn't have a ring to it is Bobby Ball. It makes me think of Bobby Bowden. Like, it doesn't.
That's a poor man's Bucky ball.
Yeah, it doesn't. There's no. What are we doing?
I do love, and I know we'll get to it, but I despite the loss, I do kind of love how much slack Samford's getting and Bucky's getting, because it just proves that people don't like us because we're good all of a sudden. I like that. And they don't like Bucky hated. Because Bucky has come in and just turn this program around that's really never had a basketball team. Yeah. And people are starting to catch on. Our conference doesn't kick you when you're down. You know, no one's railing against the Citadel right now. They only knock you when you're up. So as long as we're getting the heat, it's a good sign. Yeah, that's what happens. I like the rivalry that's developing. Like, there's a real vitriol that's starting to come out of both sides, which is nice. Yeah, that's what happens when you have 4 straight 21 seasons, which Samford hasn't done at all. Then you go back to the numbers, and Samford has had the best record in Bucky's tenure in the SoCon when it comes to just winning basketball games overall. We might be 0-3 against Furman, whatever against Bob Rishi, but Bob Rishi's 2-6 against Mike Jones. Is Mike Jones better than Rishi because he's 6-2 against Rishi? Like, exactly, yeah, it's basically the same. Mike Jones is one and done every year in the SoCon. Exactly, he hasn't won a game in Asheville. You go through the records since Bucky got here, not counting COVID year, but Samford is 93-38 overall. 52-20 in conference play. Holy moly. You go down to Furman. Bob is 92-45 overall, 48-24 in conference play. Dan Earl at VMI and Chat is 79-54 overall, 43-29 in SoCon play. That's a little inflated due to losing games at VMI. But then Mike Jones at UNCG, 78-50 overall, 48-24 in SoCon
just still
play. Really good. Exactly. It's really good.
Dude, I thought Dan Earl was going to do it this year. I was like, this is it. No.
And their best player,
what a heartbreaker.
The best player gets hurt literally like the Tuesday or Wednesday before they actually play Saturday, and of course they sorely missed him against Furman. Then you go by the numbers. Samford has won 3 conference championships compared to Furman's 2 once you count in the regular season and tournament appearances.
By the way they talk, I thought Richie had more than one SoCon title. He has one.
Guys,
in the tournament.
That's what I was telling you guys a couple weeks ago, and y'all were acting like I was an idiot.
Michael, that's our default. All right, we're sorry.
I pulled the stats up. I'm like, guys, he's doesn't even win that often.
Michael,
like, why
you just
do people
told me,
act like
you just told me Furman was second in the league in shooting, and I said they're bad at shooting. Like, sometimes you can't help stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like, sorry.
Yeah, Bucky's won 3 Coach of the Years. Richie has not won a single one. Before our team record 3 years before Bucky got hired, we were 37-61 before he showed up in the last 3 years. In the 3 years before he showed up. 16-38 in conference in the 3 years before Bucky got hired. You want to know what Richie was before Bucky got hired in that same 3 year span? 41-13. Yeah. It's insane.
That explains why this is the 4th SoCon tournament I've ever watched in my life.
Yeah. And why this team's the second best team in school history, the way that
we're not going down that. We are so not the second best.
Well, I mean, you go to number of wins 22-29, but
it doesn't matter. Look. Winning schminning. You got to make the tournament. Automatic best 2 teams or best 3 teams are the teams that made the tournaments. After everything else, then you can debate. Or after those 3
Sam,
teams,
that's such a bad take.
Why?
Such a bad.
All that matters is getting to March.
So this Wofford team, you think, is one of the best Wofford teams in the history of the program?
Yeah.
Just because they're a 6th seed that made the tournament.
It's okay. So it's the classic.
So why do we watch basketball from November through February?
Well, I ask myself that because I'm sitting here in the back of my mind saying none of this matters. It's the classic. Is Eli Manning a Hall of Fame quarterback? Because he won 2 Super Bowls, but he sucked basically every other season. Is he a Hall of Fame? I would say he is, because he reached the pinnacle in mid-major basketball. Making March Madness is the pinnacle, and if you do that if your team does that, in my opinion, they're automatically better than any other team in program history that didn't.
So now, Bill Russell is the greatest NBA player ever because he's got 11 championships and Michael Jordan's only got 6, right?
Championships is all that matters. Everything else, it's not the only thing that matters. It's the trump card, right? Everything else is second.
That's fair.
Yeah. I don't think we discount this team. I think this team is obviously very good. They won 22 frapping games at Samford. Perennial bottom feeder.
I think it's like, you're like, I don't really play video games, but like you're building a Madden player, right? And you've got allocation. You can allocate some speed, some strength, some decision making, whatever you do. Allocate a little bit to regular season wins. Maybe allocate a little bit to postseason wins, to championships. It's all about the journey, Sam. It's all about the journey. You gotta enjoy the journey of the regular season.
But let me ask you this. Would you rather be Wofford right now, or our Samford team right now? Oh, we're the second best team in school history. Or would you rather be dancing? You'd rather be dancing. It's not even a question.
Yes, but when Wofford inevitably goes home after getting destroyed,
they're not good.
By Tennessee or Alabama.
Round. Honestly, maybe by Tennessee or Alabama in the first round.
The SoCon was very mid this year. They will lose the first round. I would rather
be Samford because I know that we have what it takes to be consistently good. Whereas Wofford had a random one-off year where they got hot at the right time.
Okay, so...
And the 1 seed, it didn't have their best player.
Okay, well, you took it a little further to loop it back to make sense. Yeah, of course, I'd rather be Samford's program right now.
Yeah,
but I'd rather be Wofford's team right now.
No,
that's my entire point. Anyway,
helps when they got to play VMI too and not have to play UNCG in that semifinal game. They basically got a
moral of the story: if we had beaten UNCG to end the regular season, we'd probably be dancing right now.
I think so too, and I don't really want to think about that.
It's possible.
Let's go back to the game, because I do think we should highlight a few things. One, Josh Holloway fumbling around and then saving us all in the first half.
Incredible roller coaster.
Colin Holloway looking like he's going to carry the team in the very first few minutes, only to just disappear as he usually does. All in spot, quiet,
didn't
get much playing, didn't get many minutes. I didn't check what he finished with, but it felt like he was not on the court as much as he usually is.
11. Played 11.
Yeah. And then for not really making any of the threes and not really taking many threes. How many threes did he take?
0 for 5.
0 for 5.
That's not that ain't gonna play. Just a few bright spots, a lot of low spots. When you were there, Grant, did it feel like at any moment was there energy thinking that we were going to win the game? Because in the first half, obviously when the second half started and they went on to whatever run it was and shot 70% from the field, like, there's no hope. But what was the energy like from the team and in the stadium?
Probably not in
arena.
Probably not until we got to halftime. We're down 2. I was like, we had played so poorly. They've made every shot. We had made nothing.
Yep.
Somehow Josh just, like you said, turned it over first couple possessions and got it back into gear. And it kind of was that spark plug that he's kind of had to be because of those other transfers that hadn't shown up like that. Maybe had to play Josh more than he probably wanted to. Like, you probably weren't even going to start him this year, and they had to start him from multiple games at the end of the year because he was playing that well offensively. So you played so bad and you got to 2. It's like, okay. Like, even texted you guys or tweeted. I said, we're fine. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Or I think we're going to be okay. And then, the Furman just didn't stop missing threes until the second half. So I would say, like, right at halftime was the first time, like, that 20-minute span where I'm walking around the arena instead of just sitting there at halftime deciding, okay, maybe we do have a chance because we played so poorly and we're only down 2 at that.
I can only imagine being you, Grant, walking around at halftime, knowing what we know now. Oh, we got a shot. Yeah. It's like,
I ran into a couple of Samford people. I said, it's fine, guys. We're fine. He said, I know it. Like, everything's fine. It's going to be okay. We'll figure it out. I went back on my walk. I was like, yeah, here we go. And then,
just wasn't meant to be.
When the Furman won with 7 shots and a half.
When that house kid in the second half did that little, like, my blood boiled. I was so mad.
That kid
almost
sucks.
Turned it off.
It's like, dude, you're flaming us right now. I get it. But, like, you've been trash all season. Like, relax. But maybe you have to live it up.
He made 6 threes against us and then went 0 for 2 against Chad and 0 for 3 against Wofford.
Oh, dude, the 3 clanks against Wofford were glorious because the dude was like, I'm going to get that Samford game back right now. Clank.
He played 25 minutes. He made 6 threes a couple of times throughout the course against bad teams. But literally when his team needed the most, he's like, I guess I'll just make some threes this time. And he made 6 of the 17.
I'm excited. Dude, guys, Holloway's on-ball defense is filthy. Like, he probably gets away with fouling. But honestly, what good defender doesn't?
Yeah.
It gives a lot of Jaden Campbell vibes from Jaden Campbell's second to last year where, offensively very inconsistent. But he would give remember that dunk, that posterizing dunk he had, I think it was against UNCG, where we were like, whoa, like that guy's just different, right?
Yeah.
His
January, February were different level. Yeah.
A little bit better on offense over the offseason. A little bit better, and the dude's going to be very scary.
He's got to figure the 3 out. He's started hitting more towards the end of the season.
But it's still...
It's like every time he shoots the ball, I don't want you
No.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's not good when you get more excited that it goes in.
When he hit the corner 3 and then hit another corner 3, that second corner 3, I was like, oh no, Josh, you can't shoot 2 in a row.
Yeah.
But it went in.
Yeah. And then I think he shot another one and it didn't.
Yeah, and then he turned the ball over a couple times. And...
He literally had 2 turnovers. I think one of y'all said, we need to like bench him. Like, he's out of his...
Yeah.
He's out doing his normal stuff. And then he basically was like, oh, cool, I got the bad stuff out of the way. Let's just flip a switch. Let's start playing basketball.
Let's be real. How much of that do you think it is that is a result of us not having any other options consistently on offense for the guard play, right?
Yes.
Like, it's almost like he has to overdo it.
Absolutely,
right, he had to do it.
Yeah,
because you're didn't get anything from Isaiah, didn't get anything from Julian offensively. Basically, the whole year for the most part, Julian had a couple of games in there. But he basically kind of had to maybe be something he wasn't, but then kind of figure out along the way. And he certainly played his best basketball in the last 7-8 games.
Yeah,
he's the only player on the team that could drive the ball.
Yeah,
like downhill towards the basket
against anybody. Yeah.
And that's kind of the bailout that we needed. Like last year, we had a Chor who could bail us out in the post. 2 years prior to that, we had Quez who could bail us out in the mid-range. This year, when we've got nothing working offensively, the shots aren't falling, just give it to Josh, let him run downhill.
Yeah.
Which I think will help him in the long run once we get to his junior and senior years. Like that confidence will just continue to grow. I mean, he had confidence already, but still sometimes unwavering confidence before. But now it's actually okay. We're playing well. We got that kind of good confidence out there.
Well,
he's always had confidence. He needs to give us reasons to have confidence as fans.
Yeah.
Yes. Well said.
You'll leave it there.
Let me ask you all this about Allenspach. So obviously, he's gotten a little bit better, but we haven't seen the giant jump like we have from Holloway, but he wasn't as raw necessarily. I think it's fair to say Allenspach's ceiling is lower than Holloway and probably Wall's. But with that said, what do y'all think he has to do to see more playing time next year? Because I was watching the Wofford game, right? And Filowich is a slow player. He makes Allenspach look like a freak athlete. And you got to wonder, like, at what point does Buckyball say, hey, we'll give up some athleticism at the 5 spot for consistent offensive play, which is what Wofford did? Because I think it inherently makes you a more efficient team when you just become more consistent at the 5, even if you are giving up kind of the speed and the pace of play, because we saw this year, we were not good at scoring in transition. And if you shore up kind of that spot, it seems like, or you sacrifice the athleticism for the more consistent offensive play. And this year, especially because we got to see Larry, who couldn't hit the broadside of a barn if he's right next to the basket, it seemed like, on offense. But he could hit the top of the ceiling of the gym. What does he have to do to be an impact player? Or is it just like Buckyball is going to be Buckyball and he's not going to see the court as much if there is an option like Larry available? Like, what is the solution there?
Team just starts with getting strong in the weight room. We saw that last year. He was obviously a freshman, not as big. He's listed 6'11", 247. I don't know about that 247, but I mean, it's just basically just with experience getting the weight room a little bit more, maybe not getting pushed around as much, which is why Jaden played a little bit more. Then Larry could use his athleticism against that and kind of, even though Larry wasn't the biggest, he's definitely a lot more athletic and, like you said, can jump out of the gym and whatnot. But I think it just starts in the weight room, just getting stronger, and then everything else will carry, because he has tools. He has a good back to the basket game. He's just some games it's going to be too fast for him. He's not going to be able to play as much. So I think it just starts in the weight room with getting stronger.
But I don't think that should matter. We just watched Wofford win the SoCon tournament with a kid who can run like a 7 flat 40.
Yeah, but Filowich plays bully ball, and he's going to back you down.
Yeah.
Allenspach doesn't play strong enough in the post, I don't think. Yeah, he's a big body. Like, maybe he's 247. He doesn't play like he's 247. He plays like he's 220, Yeah. He needs to... I don't even know if it's a lack of muscle. It's maybe just a lack of just taking on that bully ball role. If you're going to give up the speed and the athleticism on both sides of the ball like he does to play in Bucky's system, you're going to have to do what you're supposed to do really well. And I think what he needs to do with his size and athleticism is play bully ball. Back guys down, get some touch around the, in the post or off the glass, stop missing open layups, things like that.
Yeah. More consistent touch. And I think you're right. Because even Filowich is not an excellent rebounder. Like, if Riley's not in the right spot, like, he's toast. But that comes with experience, knowing just where to be. And I guess that is one con of the transfer portal era, is like, usually you get accustomed to where your guys miss. And when it's new guys every year, you really won't know till the end of the season. But he needs to call Logan Dye. I mean, Logan did not get pushed around his senior year. And he didn't get much bigger, but he just put on muscle.
His body composition changed totally drastically. Yeah. But like, he's already got a good build, I feel like. Mm-hmm. He's already pretty strong, and it's not like he needs to lose weight or anything. I just think he needs to just bully some guys a little bit. He's got the finesse and the touch and the footwork, and it's like his one post move against Furman, his little hook was beautiful.
It's nice.
Yeah, with
It's
the left hand too.
so
Yeah.
natural. Like
And he can
you didn't
make
have to
the
think
three.
about it.
Yeah.
And he's a pretty decent pick and roll. So, I just was sitting there watching Filovich, like, holy moly. Like, why did Riley only play 11 minutes in a game that flew by? Because honestly, sometimes playing fast isn't the way to go. And you can still play buckyball without playing lightning fast like that. It just isn't as pure as buckyball wants to be, probably. But, I mean, unless someone has $1 million to go buy an athletic big, you got to
I'll check
deal
my
with
wallet
what you
real
got.
quick. Hold on 1 second. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Or however much a chore got, that's basically what you got to pony up.
Yeah, Tor right now is just dominating K-State intramural games right now. That's what he's up to, allegedly.
He cashed in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got his bag.
To your point, Mike, it's all about the journey. And the journey is a little bit easier with a little more
Shut
green
up,
right
Sam.
there.
It is about the journey.
It's
about the
about
process.
The journey. Yes.
Little Inky Johnson motivations about the process.
Let's get to the SoCon title game. So Furman beat Chat in an awesome game that, as we mentioned earlier, did not have Frank Champion. UTC maybe wins the game with Frank Champion, but as we said, like Furman's shooting was just on fire. So they roll past. Wofford crushed VMI, never in doubt, to set up what was an electric environment. I mean, the stadium looked almost, it wasn't full, but it was pretty packed, and tons of students. The Wofford crowd really brought it near the end when they were on the verge of winning, obviously. Really enjoyed some of the chants that you could hear over the broadcast. But let's talk about that game, because Mike, I think you brought up an interesting point. You know, we'd rather be Samford's program at the moment, but we're still going to have to replace like 3 starters. Wofford is similarly old. They're going to lose
Everybody.
Is it everybody? I thought they're keeping the white guy.
If it is
The
Wofford
shooter.
after all, yeah.
Hold on.
Civils.
They did bring back 4 or 5, at least 4. In fact, maybe they
Civils
brought
and
back all 5
Bailey were
starters.
seniors. Corey Tripp is a senior. Filovich is a senior.
Oh, never mind.
4 of their starters are all seniors. I don't know if they have another year of
Yeah, who knows at this
eligibility,
point?
but
who knows?
yeah.
What do we know about Wofford's NIL? Are they going to be able to reload? Because some of these guys were holdovers from the beginning of the NIL era.
They don't have a grad school, so that doesn't help. So you can't get
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Fifth-year
right.
guys
They're at
coming in.
community college, right?
But
Mhm.
neither does Furman, right?
That's a good question.
Furman.
Does Furman have a grad school?
I'm
oh,
sure.
Let's look it up.
I think that
Furman is actually. Oh, they lost their accreditation. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I wish though.
Damn joke.
No, it's a
yeah.
university. They have grad students of some
I
kind.
thought they
their
were
driving
technically
range
a
is pretty
college.
packed when I drove by it. Yeah.
But the game. So the game, it had so many twists and turns. I mean, I tuned in when y'all were going off about Wofford dominating. I was like, I gotta watch this. And of course, as soon as I turn it on, the Furman machine turns on.
It was a hot Wofford start. Yeah.
Yeah. They go
And
up
Furman takes the
15-5
lead
maybe.
into the locker room at half, which was wild. Because how much Mike was Wofford up by?
I think they were up like 15-5 maybe at one
Yeah.
point. It was
Yeah,
I mean,
at
it was
least,
a double digit game early, and then somehow Furman managed to go in halftime up 2 maybe something like that.
That sounds right.
There was some sloppy play. There was bad decision making on both sides, in pretty clutch moments, at least like relative to the halves. Which I mean, that was one reason why Furman was able to sneak back in.
I think Corey Tripp basically something mentally where he couldn't make simple passes against the 1-3-1. Like he was lost there for like a second. Like some crazy like entry passes. He had no idea what to do. Like Wofford had a stretch where they had five straight turnovers and he had 3 of them or something like that. Something crazy.
And that was strange, but at the same time, I didn't feel like anybody was helping them. They were kind of just standing there behind.
That is true. Yeah, they were. It's like, hey, I'm open. He's like, I'm trying. I swear, I can't do it.
It's like there's nowhere to go. Somebody help him out.
And then Wofford, they're really not that good. Like, that's the unfortunate part of this. Is the best team by far this season in the SoCon was UTC. and then
Yeah.
I guess us, but not really. I never felt confident about any game.
I would say the first half of the season, when we were playing well, we looked great. But
Yeah. After that UNCG game, for sure.
Yeah, and you get late into this one, and then Furman up 2, called timeout, and God's gift of basketball. I was like, let me just get out of this 1-3-1 and go to man, because the 1-3-1 hasn't been working all half. We're just going to go man because I'm Bob Ritchie and I know what the heck I need to do.
It's too easy. It's too
Exactly.
easy. He
So
wants to make it hard on himself.
Too easy. That is actually, they go man, and Wofford closes the game on an 11-2 run. Trips all man. He's like, oh my gosh, the lane is like the Red Sea parted wide open. He's like, I'm going to go drive and go get fouled. He's like, oh no, let me do this. So he was like, oh, thank God Bob finally switched to man, and turns out Wofford used that stretch and hit that 11-2 run to get the win.
It was so good when the commentators were saying, Furman should just foul Filowich every possession.
They should have.
And honestly, I can't blame. Like,
it's like, why are we not?
In the final 5 minutes, that's exactly what I would do, because he made 2 clutch free throws, but otherwise,
Yeah, I'm getting my 13th man off the bench. Say, hey, you have one job. It's to foul the tall big maple over there at the block. Said, hey, go foul him and force him to throw up some granny shots at the free throw line.
I mean, that's what's crazy is you really could game it out like that, where you just get your scrub out there like Vanderwall, and you put him on Filowich, and you just funnel it to him, and then foul every possession for the last 5 minutes.
He's 30% from the line. I don't think he hit more than 2 free throws the entire tournament. Wofford's shooting 50% from 3 in the game. Just foul him every time.
I'm going to miss
the
that
most
guy.
They're going to get is 2 points, but they're likely going to get less than 1 every time down the court.
Yeah, I thought the greatest coach in the country would have figured that out, but he did not.
He did not. He did not. Well, that's because the greatest coach in the country was sitting at home in Birmingham. But Wofford's going to lose first round. Furman would have lost
3 of 7
first round.
from the free throw line in that one.
It was what?
It was what?
3 of 7 from free throwing against Furman, then 1 of 5 against VMI and ETSU. So yeah, he'd made 2 free throws up to that point all weekend in Nashville. Yeah.
That was one game I wish I had seen, was the ETSU Wofford.
Yeah.
Because if ETSU gets by that game, I think ETSU wins the SoCon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Obviously beat VMI.
Didn't Wofford end the game like hitting 11 straight free throws or something like that?
That sounds right. Well,
yeah,
they were rolling.
Yeah. Well, the problem was they weren't fouling Filowich.
But, granted, they went on an 11-2 run. I think they really went up 3, then went the line the rest of the game.
Yeah.
I was sweating it there, though, especially when Furman went up, 5 maybe, with 2 minutes to go, or a minute 30?
It was like 83-79, I think that's what it was. I was like, oh no.
I was like, no, I'm not watching this. I'm not watching this. And I didn't have to watch it.
Katie was flying to Salt Lake City for work yesterday, and her plane had a TV on it, and she turned it on, and the game was on. She's like, why is the SoCon playing on my Delta flight?
But ESPN, I don't know what to say, but yeah. I need to go watch the Furman press conference after the game. I wonder how much talk he talked about in this one. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, so let's talk about that briefly.
Yeah, it's all about culture. He didn't spend any money on his roster.
So let's talk about that before we wrap up. Next week we'll just dive right into baseball, softball, basketball. Oh, actually no, we'll do a little March Madness talk next week, and then dive in baseball, softball. But Grant, Richie was definitely stirring the pot after the Samford win,
both games, yeah.
After the Chattanooga win, almost like he had an axe to grind, despite the fact that the core of his team came back, except for the bench warmer at Auburn. So I don't know what.
Well, he lost. He did lose a lot. I mean, he lost McGee, Marcus Foster, and Williams.
Who was Williams?
One of those shooters. I can't remember his first name. Alex Williams.
Yeah, Alex Williams. Big man. But...
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah.
Sorry, I'm just trying to keep us honest for all the listeners. We're not biased.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Yeah. But Grant, were you in the room after the chat game or after the Samford game when he was talking, or did you?
He was. Yeah, I feel like he was speaking right to me the way he was talking. It's like I was like, I just wanted you to. God dang it! But yeah. He was first. He called out ESPN because there was that article that I sent y'all where the basketball writers picked the winners every mid-major conference, and they had like whatever ESPN analytics would win.
Yeah.
Said ESPN had 3 guys out there. None of us picked us. Even the even the analytics picked Samford, like Samford to win. Like Samford was picked to win the league in the preseason. Samford was picked by the analytics. He was mad at the numbers for Samford being the team, whatever.
Wait, why should he care about the analytics? The analytics are analytics.
He said that too, but yeah, he got mad at the ESPN analytics. He got mad at the computers for saying that Samford was going to beat him, whatever. And yeah, we're just basically paraphrasing, obviously. Basically, yeah, we're just the little engine that could. These guys have been told all year.
Engine that could.
These guys have been told all year. They've been doubted the whole year. It's like guys they didn't think would be good in the offseason. They were talking about we lost all these players. Well, they did lose their top portal target because he got kicked off the team in the middle of the summer. Anyway, so he went on. This whole team's been doubted, even though his team went 14-1 in non-conference play. So you want to know why your team was doubted? Because you lost to Wofford by 19 at home, and then you lost to VMI, and then you were tied for
almost
Citadel.
Lost to Citadel.
You should have lost to Citadel. You had to go to overtime against overtime against Citadel. You're losing games, but yeah, his team was the one doubted. And, these guys, they just want to play hard for all 40 minutes, play hard for these guys. Yeah, that was his talk after the Samford game.
We got frustrated early in the season when everybody else was so high on Furman because they were playing so well in the non-conference. The only reason people weren't high on them is, like you said, they lost all those games. Funny, imagine you start winning games, people like you lose games, people don't like you. Who would have thought?
He's talking like he won the game, obviously, beat Samford 3rd time in a row, whatever. But yeah, he's talking about like his team was like basically they won. He's like, no, do you finish 5th because you were losing games that you shouldn't lose, which you have done before. Remember last year you basically lost the regular season title race because you lost to Citadel up at Citadel the last year, the year before.
It's wild the games they lose.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, they play well against us and the good teams, but then they lose and play poor against like the middle of the pack and the bottoms. Yeah, that was it. He was all fired up after winning one game in Nashville.
Yeah, very fired up. I mean,
and then after Chattanooga, he was even more fired up too, and he was going on and on.
The biggest joke of it all is, especially when he was discussing NIL. One, no one knows anything concrete. Yeah. It's not public data. We'll never know. But 2, pretending like Furman doesn't have a very healthy NIL budget it's absurd. Yeah, absolutely absurd. And culture, his team is when half the team quit on him. Like they've had the culture problem for years. Everyone in the conference knows that.
Yeah, he was
I
asked
don't know
about
what he's standing on.
He was asked about building programs, and this was that's pretty good. This was his quote. Sometimes a coach ran out. It's like, well, man, I got to make sure I have all this money. Well, the most money didn't win this tournament this year. Probably not going to keep winning this tournament. That's not going to guarantee you the most money is going to give you the most win. That's been proven in a short time in this era.
The most money, honestly, maybe not this year, but overall is probably UTC.
It's got to be the states. It's got to be UTC, UNCG, or ETSU.
Yeah.
And those schools have big fan bases.
Big fan bases and fan bases that care.
Right.
Yeah, and he's calling out us for off-court stuff. Yeah, but and then I retweeted. Yeah, I'm sure Bob barely had 2 pennies to rub together to build his roster. So
well, I mean, yeah. Speaking on the other side, I guess Furman. Go ahead, Mike.
You said off-court stuff.
Basically saying that we paid the most for our players, and that's
okay.
We didn't win. So indirectly, he's calling us out, but we're calling Samford out. Excuse me, not us. We're not biased. Calling Samford out for what
I hope we have the biggest budget. I want us to have the biggest budget. I think it's awesome to have the biggest budget.
It's great
because that is what will secure. Do what, Mike?
It means the community is involved and people care. It also means rich people,
and it ensures a chance of success because we're used to Samford basketball not winning. So we love the NIL era.
Shout out to the Mountain Brook community for all your efforts, and please keep pushing those forward. Thank you. Yeah.
What is zip code? What wonderful people.
Always talked well about those people. Yeah, they're great people. But yeah, that was Bob's his weekend, basically talking before he won the tournament about how great his team was and how he surely hadn't spent any money to put his roster together because he doesn't have the most money because other teams have more money than I do. And I'm trying to jump for jobs even though when they aren't available to me. So
yeah, that's the other silly part. He's just sour that he didn't leave after the UVA win. He is now stuck in purgatory because he's not going to eclipse that. Especially if what he's saying I mean, I don't believe it, but if he's saying it's true that they don't have that much money, they're toast. They're never going to see March Madness if they can't outspend some of the schools in this conference. So I don't know. Bob Ritchie ain't it, or he ain't as much as he thinks he is. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, not so smart to turn down Power 5 offers for a school that doesn't have NIL funds.
No,
You know?
no. So one of those is not, I think they have.
It's not,
NIL
the math's
funds.
not mathin'.
Exactly. Until we see Bob taking the bus to work every day, I'm not going to believe. Although I really I want it to be true. I want it to be true that Furman has no money. How wonderful of a world and a country we would live in if that were true.
I'm sure he's got a. Pretty sure he's got a burner on Twitter out there somewhere because he mentioned like Twitter discussion multiple times.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Because he mentioned Twitter specifically like 3 different times and like the two press conferences I heard him see. But he doesn't have an actual Twitter account, but he's.
I'm not even really joking.
He doesn't tweet during the games. It's only after the game.
Correct.
I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Yeah, she tweeted something about like how the refs helped Wofford win to one of Jack's tweets, and he responded to Catherine, he said, in your unbiased, humble opinion, I said, those are 2 words never spoken about this specific person. Has Furman ever lost a game? Yeah, has Furman ever lost a game because they lost the game? She never responded to his comment. But yeah, she's been like, the refs were so bad. The refs were the reason Wofford won. The refs are the reason that Samford, pays the refs, that whole.
I mean,
whole
Bob
dumb
Ritchie
discussion.
complains to the refs. Like, it's almost like he complains to the ref before tip-off. Like, he finds any reason to start yelling at the ref early in the game. And the thing is his players follow along. Vanderwall and Heen.
Dude, they should have been teed up in the finals.
Well, Heen fouled out. And he was yelling about how bad the call was in the game.
Yeah, they should have been teed up because that's what's also wild is how unsportsmanlike some of those Furman players are. Like, yeah, a lot of guys in the league have some passion and argue and stuff, but just the sheer disrespect for authority. I mean, it doesn't really surprise me, but the sheer disrespect for authority that those players have, it's like they have zero discipline instilled into them. But again, poverty program, poverty school, poverty coach, poverty mindset.
Yeah, they don't have any money. How is Bob going to be able to put this great roster together?
Victims.
Because how's he going to do it? Because he doesn't have any money to do anything.
Yeah, I know. I would say, throw some spare change their way, but honestly, just flush it down the toilet if you even think about giving to them.
This got personal real quick. It didn't take long for it to get off court personal and but out.
Any other thoughts on SoCon Tournament? We'll do March. I can't wait to see who Wofford's matchup is because there is an awesome chance they could get some like random Big Ten squad who has no idea about this Filowich character. And all of a sudden, maybe they're in the game late because Corey Tripp's joining threes and Filowich is being an annoying pest. Probably not. Probably going to get rolled. But
I mean, there's a really good chance they play Tennessee, right? I mean, 15-2.
If
or
they
Alabama.
play an SEC team, they will be annihilated. They might as well not even walk out of the locker room.
Sam, I did want to play Bucky's kind of final message he put in the end of his presser.
No better way to get us to State of the Bulldogs. So let's let Bucky send us off to State of the Bulldogs.
I want to say one thing on my group real quick,
absolutely.
if that's okay. Yep. That answer your question? Our group right here, I wanted to say this. We lost the majority of our team last year. We lost in terms of minutes played. We brought back one player from our team last year in the top 8 in minutes played. It was this guy, Rylan Jones. Okay. And, a lot of times when you do that, like Furman brought back 6 or 7 guys off their team last year. ETSU brought back a lot of guys, a lot of players returning. We brought back Rylan, and then we brought back our 3 freshmen from last year and Josh, and we had someone that redshirted last year. And, I know when the season ends, you always feel the last game. But, there's a lot when you look at this group over the course of the season, they had a terrific season. And, they had the highest net ranking in the SoCon, highest Ken Palm rating, and set the number 2 to only last year's team in terms of games won in the regular season. And I want to say that for my guys because I know they're going to have a sour taste coming out of there because we don't and we don't accept anything but winning a championship, right? But I'm really proud of these guys, and hopefully when they look back on this season, they'll remember one game. And that's just I want to say that for the Samford faithful out there, So I'm proud, and hopefully everybody else is too. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, if only they could have a slightly better offense. But alas. State of the Bulldogs, boys. Mike, kick it off. Oh, what were you going to say?
No, I don't want to get into it. It's a can of worms we don't need to open tonight.
Oh, let's open the can of worms. Let's open it.
Oh, I just hope the guys come back. I like continuity. I like seeing the same faces, watching players grow. I'm excited to see what Josh Holloway and Alan Spock and Lucas Walls can do next year. I just, if we get the guys back that are eligible to come back and then fill those holes with a couple of big transfer additions, it's the recipe for success, and I'd be really excited about next year's team.
100% agree.
Yeah.
I think we have a good shot. I mean, look, no one was a world beater this year, which is good. Like, that's good. Let's just hope. I mean, the market only goes up, so let's hope we can retain them. State of the Bulldogs, Mike, kick it off with tennis.
Men's tennis, Sandeep Mahandas was named SoCon Player of the Week, beating Wofford Ain Furman. And then we had to call Charleston on Thursday. Big week in men's tennis. Yeah. That's where all their NIL money is going. It's not winning, apparently. Women's tennis lost to North Alabama on the road and also plays College of Charleston today, which is Tuesday. They were recording. And then plays somebody else on Thursday.
Charleston Southern.
Yes, the other school in Charleston.
I guess they're just hanging out in Charleston this week.
That's kind of dope.
Women are there today. Men and women play there on Thursday.
No, maybe it's spring. Is it spring break?
Yeah, spring break.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spring break in Charleston is pretty fun.
It's pretty good. On Samford, I like that.
Yeah, I like that.
On the baseball field, the Bulldogs beat UT Martin 2 games out of 3, which was a road series, and we rolled North Alabama today 10-3. Evansville, who is not as good as they were last year, maybe the year before when they made the NCAA tournament. We have them this weekend, which is our last series before conference play starts next week, which is crazy. We're already at conference play. And then Jack State is our bid week. Grant, softball.
Softball went 3-2 at the North Alabama tournament against Detroit, La Monroe, and UNA. They were playing Jacksonville State as we record. I think they might have fallen on that one. They're down 5-2 last I checked.
Yeah.
This weekend we have a tournament at Ole Miss playing against North Dakota State, Iowa State, and Ole Miss, who's 20-4, who just beat top 10 Arkansas in a series. So
they're good.
So yeah, big weekend coming up for the softball ladies. So
yeah, I mean, I feel like we should beat North Dakota State, probably even Iowa State, but we might get run rolled versus Ole Miss. They're a very, very good softball team.
Yep.
And then men's track. Last but not least, Mike, bring it home.
Yeah, big one this week. We got Bradley Franklin running in Nationals, Virginia Beach, starting Friday. And he qualified in the indoor nationals, I should say, qualified for the 60-meter hurdles, ran something like 6 or 7 seconds to qualify for that event, which sounds fast to me. I don't really know. That's probably about what my 40 time would be without hurdles. So to run 60 with hurdles, it's pretty athletic, I think. So awesome. Virginia Beach indoor track this weekend.
That is awesome. Well, a lot of sports going on, even though basketball is over. We move on to baseball and softball. And it's going to be a good spring, boys. It was a tough winter. It's going to be a good spring.
Yep. All right, Sam, one more thing on the back end. I just want to, we can play this on the way up, but just Ryland's kind of answered like how he finished the year and what he wants to remember. It's like playing with this group. We can play that on the way up. So
love that.
Lost a lot of guys. And that team was all returners from the year before. And, we added a couple new guys last year. And so this year is kind of the opposite. We lost a lot and we had to add a lot of new guys. And my role was just different in the fact that, I was really the only returning starter, really, the only guy that played a lot of minutes from that team last year. And so I had to, fill a bigger role, lead, and kind of just, bring our guys along from the summer, teaching them, the way we play and how to be resilient. And, I couldn't not be more prouder of our guys. You see our fight every game. Like Coach said, we're not the most, the best offensive team, Samford's ever had, but, never counted us out at any game because of our character, our heart, and our relentlessness to just continue to fight, even when, games, seem, out of reach. We won multiple games, being down by 15, 14 points with, 5 or 6 minutes left and come back and win. A lot of games in conference, we were, down. We weren't a great start. We didn't start the games great this year. But, we always finished. And, it just speaks to the character that our, the guys around us. We fought till the final buzzer. And, I'll just remember, going to war with those guys every single day. And, you can never count us out, even if, the lead seemed like, it was, pretty big. And just love the guys. We had a terrific season. And, the coach said it in the locker room, the guys, when you go to the locker room and you can lose with your team and you still have that bond. And, I love every single one of them. And, I'm just happy that I got to play with them. And, I'm happy they got to experience Samford and the SoCon, and, we'll have memories for a long time. So I'm just happy and, thankful for my teammates.
Love it. Gonna miss that guy. All right. On that note, State of the Bulldogs is out. Catch y'all next week.
Hey, you already know. Samford, you about to get that ring, man. Hey, love y'all. We love y'all.